Okay, we're live. Hey, Brian and I were just on the phone talking about some cool stuff and um, wanted to jump on here. Sorry, I'm getting a text message right as I go live. So I wanted to hop on here with my boy, Brian Hess. Brian and I talk almost every day, probably. I don't know.
Regular. Yep.
Yeah. We're always talking business, how to expand, how to grow, how to make things happen, not just for ourselves, but for our clients as well. And Brian was telling me, you probably shouldn't mention that company name.
No, we don't want to blow the cover, but
Yeah. But Brian is working on a really big deal for his multi-million-dollar company that he already has. And he was sharing some stuff with me. I said, dude, let's do a live stream and talk about it, man. Because dude, what you're doing is a lot of the stuff that you teach and I teach, but you're actually doing it right now in your business on this job you're going to bid on, I guess. Is that the word? Is that the word? Bid on it?
it's really, in this case would be going after like their whole entire portfolio, right? As much of it as we can get. So
why don't you tell, for people that don't know who you are, tell everybody who you are and what you're all about, bro.
I'm Brian Hess. I'm a Gemini. I like long walks on the beach. I'm Brian Hess. I am the president of the Pavement Group. Is the company that we'll be talking a little bit about, the approach that Ken and I were discussing tonight. And I've got Top Contractor School, which you see on my shirt here. I'm touching the wrong side of my shirt, but Top Contractor School to help other contractors, sell, market, lead their companies, grow their companies faster, more efficient, recruit better employees, all that kind of stuff. And so, I work in the business every single day. And then I also help others and coach others. In addition to that, we're building a company to help contractors just have an easier time doing all that stuff that is difficult for some, contractors to do. They're well trained on the field side of things, not as well trained on the sales and tactical end of it. And so we're trying to bridge that gap, whether it's a guy that's good in the field that wants to learn sales or a guy that's in sales that maybe wants to learn a little bit more about the field stuff. We got them all covered. So at the Pavement Group, when we utilize subcontractors, we try to leverage this information that we're about to talk about right now to better educate our subcontractors to improve their businesses and ultimately the high tide rises all boats. So we have a pretty good relationship with those people that we're able to help.
So you're doing this, you can, without mentioning the company name, you could go into some details about, hey, there's Carrie Lynn Carter, David Skinner, what's up? Greg Grayson, what's going on? So without going into who it is, you could mention some details about some of the stuff. I mean, dude, some of the stuff you're doing is unbelievable. And I got a sneak peek at some drone footage the other day that I was like, man, this is cool. This is a whole new level. But why don't you talk a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, so it's it's a multi-billion-dollar company that obviously owns a lot of real estate, a lot of properties. Yeah. And so as a paving contractor, we refer to ourselves in a variety of different ways, but one of those ways is to call ourselves a pavement asset management company. And so, through that, we try to bring as much value to the client as we possibly can when we're meeting with them and explaining exactly what we do. But the reality of what Ken and I were talking about before we jumped on here was that the value of these interactions really starts before you get to them. And so in this case, it's a company, like I said, multi-billion-dollar company. They own well over 1,000 properties, and they're large properties. And so what happens with these people is they have a hard time, kind of grasping how to manage all of those properties. And so they've got big problems. And so, the first thing that you have to do to be able to transact business with somebody is to gain some alignment, right? To make them understand exactly who you are, what you stand for, and what your company values are, how they match up with theirs. And so what I was explaining to Ken is that anytime we get these large opportunities like this, we take a lot of time up front to research the company, learn how many locations they have, the different types of formats of their properties, if they have that, how they refer to their employees. Is there a certain type of lingo that they use? And then again, like Ken said, we were out capturing some drone footage the other day, capturing some video footage. And so what I do before I arrive at these meetings is
now let me ask you a question though. Do
Sure.
they know that you're out doing this, or you just show up and start capturing something? That's what's so cool about it, man. You're like, you're digging into their culture. You're digging into who they are as a company and what their values and everything before you ever go pitch them or give them a price or anything, right?
Yeah, and in fact, walking into the store, we handle their parking lots. But I will walk into the store and have some conversations with people to try to get a real feel for what that company is like,
Wow.
and talk to the store managers, and sometimes even ask them questions about, what is their process like if something happens outside, right? The handicap sign gets knocked over, a bollard gets broken that's holding one of those signs up, or a piece of sidewalk gets cracked. What is that process like for them to file that ticket?
Right.
And and then what is it like on the back end trying to get it fixed by their, the contractors?
Right.
And so when I do that, I take the time to go in there, have those conversations, and then I put all that together, and I, present that at the meeting, but before we get to the meeting, what we try to do is collect that data, collect that information, do a ton of research, line out all the questions that we're going to ask this company based on that research. And then I send them a quick video prior to our arrival that just basically says, hey, my name is Brian Hess. I'm the president of Payment Group. First and foremost, I really, appreciate the opportunity to meet with you. But secondly, I want to explain a little bit about our company, who we are, what we stand for, and some of the things that I think would be beneficial to you and your company to hear, so that tomorrow when I walk into your office, we can spend more of our time on getting to know you and your company and exactly what you guys need and what challenges you're facing that we might be able to solve for you. And that video includes a lot of different things, but I would say the most valuable piece of it is structuring that alignment, right? Like, what does your company stand for and what do we stand for? Because if we both believe the same things,
right,
then there is absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be doing business together. And that's kind of how we approach it, right? It's like, if I believe the same things as you believe, man, we're going to have a pretty easy relationship, friendship, business relationship, marriage, whatever, right?
Right.
It all works. But if you're going in there and you're a company that doesn't believe what they believe, I'll give you an example. One of the things that this particular company says in their mission statement is that they stay rooted. They always look to the future while staying rooted in their values in the past. And one of the things that we say as a company is that, we utilize and leverage technology at every twist and turn that we can to drive efficiency, to drive communication, to drive improvements and reduce costs, while at the same time doing business the old-fashioned way by shaking people's hands and looking them in the eye. And so when you're able to make that kind of alignment between your companies, and believe me, the best companies out there, for everybody watching this, when you look, you can see whether it's a good company or not based on, if you're going somewhere to shop and you walk into a store, you could tell if that's a good company or not. And you could probably tell how bought into their values their employees are. And once you understand that your values align and that company actually believes in their values, well, now you've got some alignment created, and you've got a really good and comfortable conversation started. There's my man Eli. He's on the team, man.
What's up, Eli? What's up, Glenn Caldwell's in the house?
But that's the key, man. And I think one of the things that that I've learned in the Arete syndicate is Andy Frisella says the efficiency, the value is in the inefficiencies. It's in going the extra mile, right? They say when you're going the extra mile, there's not a lot of traffic on that road, and it's the truth.
But you would think, but and again, I already know, I kind of know the answer to this, but like, dude, I've had people knock on my door that, hey, we have some extra paving stuff left over from a job down the road. is that one of the pitches?
Yeah, you don't want to use those guys, man. We don't have stuff left over, man.
I know. So, but I mean, this is a mega multi-million-dollar project that you're going after. And if I were a betting man, I would bet that you're not going up against any real competition. I'm not saying there aren't people that can't do what you do as far as paving and all of that, but I'm saying that there's nobody that's going to bring what you're bringing to the table, like getting to know the company the way that you are and delivering before you ever go in and pitch the deal. You want to make sure the company, their culture, who you're dealing with, and that you match your culture to theirs.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I got their entire financial statement sitting on my computer screen right now, reading through every last detail of how things have been going for them. And, we're just trying to sell them parking lot services. But at the end of the day, it's about more than that. And so when I show up at that office, the number one thing I want them to understand is that, we value their time. And you can prove that by putting in the work up front, right? And so that helps start the conversation on the right foot already. And when they see alignment in values and the foundations of your company match the foundations of theirs,
right?
It just makes the whole conversation a lot easier and better. And at the end of the day, man, that's companies don't go to that length and put in that amount of work up front. We went and assessed 4 of their properties, and we've got a complete detail of every single issue that's out there, and the way that we present it to them will be right in front of their face. We've got the demonstration. I like to say, show me, don't tell me, right? Everybody can come in here and tell you a lot of stuff, make you a ton of empty promises, and unfortunately, in the world of construction, there's a lot of that, right? There's a lot of, promises and not promises without process.
Yep.
Are empty. There's nothing to back it up if there's no process. And so I got my whole team on here watching, man. Trisha's on here. She's on my team.
What's up, Trisha?
That hashtag value.
Yeah.
And truly, man, it's, we care about what we do. And, we have a lot of passion for solving those problems. We've created every process inside our company around solving those problems. But, you can have all the process you want. It still requires putting in the work, right? I spent 2 hours out there capturing drone footage the other day. And, I could hire somebody to do that. But I wouldn't get the shots that I want. I wouldn't get the ones that matter, the ones that are going to make them understand what we're looking at, how we're looking at it, what our process is internally. And so that whole thing, I use this term this phrase quite frequently, but, the best thing I ever learned in life, man, was from an old man when I was in an old timer in my 20s, and I was, full of piss and vinegar trying to go 100 miles an hour all the time. And he said, Brian, let me give you a piece of advice and remember this forever. He says, sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. Yep. And, that's, and it's what we talk about all the time. What we both teach is that, it's the requirement is those inefficiencies, spending 2 hours of my Sunday afternoon is not, a lot of people wouldn't do that. And I don't say that because I want a pat on the back or something. It's just what we do. And that spills over, that commitment, that confidence, that taking the time to understand, it's multifaceted, the benefits of that. It's, number one, I walk into that meeting, dude, there's not a damn thing I don't know about that company. And I got it all typed out right here on my screen. Every question I'm going to ask, their stock price, their terms, their slogans. What else? I don't even know what else was on here. My mission for the meeting, the facts about this company, how much revenue they do, how many locations, everything. And
this is again, we're not going to disclose the company name, but it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation. It's big. I mean, it is big.
Yeah, and if I was the guest, man, they're probably doing. Let me run some numbers.
I know
they're probably doing $10 to $20 million worth of our business at least a year. And at the end of the day, if I'm going in there and let's say that, let's put it in the middle, let's say they do $15 million in business, in parking lots annually. And, out of the gate, you're getting your foot in the door. They want to test you out and you get 4 jobs or 5 jobs. It's $2 or $3 million worth of business. And who knows where it goes from there. Right. And the best part is, man, is, I look at it like this. There's tons of there's tons of products, there's tons of ideas, there's tons of everything out there that never ever gets found, right? Because the work that was supposed to be put in up front, people think it's going to be easy. And there is nothing easy about it, man. You got it when you put in the work, you have a higher percentage close rate all the time because those people understand that you put in the work, man. When we walk in there and we're crazy prepared, we got a meeting tomorrow morning to discuss our approach, and every last detail of that meeting will be rehearsed before we go in there. And that is and listen, man, I respect those companies. And at the end of the day, man, we've got great ideas, we've got great technology, we've got an incredible approach that can solve a lot of problems for people. But if I don't walk my butt in there prepared, they'll never know that.
That's right.
And if I don't leave them with the right first impression, then maybe they just shut down and it doesn't go as well as it could. And so it's important, to make sure you got all those details right. And that's like you said before, man, it's what we teach, but it's cool, man. I enjoy the teaching part of this so much because I get to live it, and when I look at, those people who are out there, giving people advice, that aren't running a business, aren't doing this stuff every single day. It's a whole different world out there today than it was years ago. You know what I mean? And it changes year by year, man. It gets harder and faster and more difficult to reach people. And in fact, the greatest part of this story, man, of this customer that we're going to meet with is I've been chasing this cat since 2012.
Holy moly. I didn't know that. That's 7 years, bro.
Walked up to him at a trade show once, looked at his name tag, and I said, holy mackerel, man, I thought you were just a voicemail box and an email address. He never ever responded, man. And I'm, I like to think that I'm smarter than the average bear when it comes to sales, but I couldn't get the fish on the hook, man. And, so at the end of the day, I think, perseverance is a good message for people too. It's like, just keep plugging away, man. I had a guy ask me once, what do you think your close rate is? I said, 100%, man. Nobody ever gets away.
Right.
Unless we decide that we're not going to do business with them, we're not pests and we're not annoying, but we believe we have a lot to offer. And when I believe I can solve problems for somebody and, make things better for them professionally, I'm not going to stop, calling you or sending you messages until I get an opportunity to talk with you.
One of the things that I, do a lot, and we've talked for a long time. I mean, so I teach a lot about making sure everything you're talking about, right? Taking your professionalism, your brand, everything to the next level, like raise it, elevate it as high as you can get it. John Hamlin, Grant Cardone's buddy, who's John's a good friend of mine too, but this guy drives a Rolls Royce, has a private jet, and he's a client of mine. And when you said that about 2012, it didn't take me quite that long, but like I could not get John to move. And finally I was, dude, I'm sending him cards and emails and gifts and fruit baskets and all kinds of, and finally
telegrams, whatever it takes.
Yeah,
man.
right. And finally, and when he introduced me, when I was in Florida at his office, he introduced me to his team, and he said, I want everybody in this room to know that this is the number one most persistent salesperson I have ever dealt with, ever. Like, he just wouldn't give up. And I said, well, dude, it paid off. Look where I'm standing, So,
yeah,
but again, it was a professional approach. There's so many people, and Brian, you see this and I see this, so many people. I love network marketing. I'll never, ever, ever cut down network marketing. I love network marketing. I think everybody should have a little side hustle doing network marketing. If you can make it go full time, do it, man. But like, learn how to sell and communicate first, because we get those messages. I get these messages, right? I mean, I'm attending an event next week where I'm on a panel of judges at the same event that Mark Zuckerberg's sister is going to be at speaking, right? And I'm on this panel of influencer judges, and people hit me up, and I'm no Grant Cardone or Les Brown, or, I'm not on that level yet, but I get these messages going, hey, you have an interesting profile. What do you do? And I'm like, dude, what?
I had one, man, that said, I had one on LinkedIn. This is a good one. I told my team about this. I was so fired up, man. I was so pissed. I'm like, this dude literally sends me a DM that says, I've looked at all of your online presence, and I was shocked to see. And he said something negative. I don't even remember what it was now. Something about my online presence not being. And he wanted to help me with that. And I literally responded to him with, does this shit actually work for you, man? Like firing off insults at people. Like, it's like crazy, man. Like, and they somehow think that that's going to work. And, listen, man, it might keep the lights on for 1 month, brother, but it ain't building you an empire. That's for sure.
No way, man. Like, get to know your customer. And that's what I was like, dude, when you were telling me because there's a lot, and I know you can't mention the company name. If you could, it would help you go even further into the details, but we don't need to do that. But like, seriously, man, if people would, I mean, dude, I'm pretty sure, like, what time the CEO of the company gets to work. I mean, you have dug.
Not yet, but by Wednesday morning, though, I might.
Right, but like, dude, you've dug deep on this company, right? And
I'm still digging, man. I got 4 windows open on my computer right now with information. I'm reading articles about financial forecasts, and and again, why does that matter? I'm just trying to fix their parking lots. Well, it matters in how much money they have to spend, the approach we might have to take. Are we looking for short-term repairs versus long-term repairs based on the financial forecast of where they're at, right? Are they cutting back their facilities budget? Are they, there's a lot of different things that go into these types of meetings. And remember this, guys, if there's one thing about sales, it is that, the amount of information that you possess when you are interacting with a customer, either possess or can acquire through asking the right questions, is directly connected to your percentage chance to win that deal. And the reason for that is, and remember this, what you just talked about is the reason people hate salespeople is because most of them suck.
That is, amen, dude. That is so true.
And the reality is that people don't take the time to ask questions because they make the sale all about them.
Yep.
And the reality is that the sale. A sale is created when you are able to solve a problem for a customer, and the amount of money that they pay you versus what it costs to solve that problem is how businesses make money. And the reality is that people don't take the time to collect enough information, and they don't take the time on the front end to know enough information, because here's what collecting all this knowledge and information will do for me is it will make that customer far more comfortable and open about sharing more of it. So when I start asking them questions, and I've got them all lined out, I probably have 14, 15 questions that I've got lined out. Some of them are related to how that part of the business runs within their company. Some of them are related to just information that I've been unable to track down on the front end. But the reality is that every time I do this, and I research a lot, and we go into these meetings fully prepared, they always end up a 9 or a 10 out of 10, because we're taking the time to understand, and that customer feels the preparation in that meeting. They understand. You know, I had a customer tell our team 2 weeks ago, you know, we completed a project, and the guy said, "Man, you guys are the best paving company that I've ever worked with." And by the way, I say this often, that job was probably the best job that I've seen done since I've been in this business. From a quality standpoint, the customer never ever mentioned the quality. What they mentioned was our preparation, communication, and transparency in that process.
Because, and this is the problem, dude. This is the problem. What you just said, you just nailed it. They don't know anything about paving. They know that when it's hot outside, that stuff's hot to walk on, and you don't want to fall down and do a hand plant, right? That's all they know about paving. They don't know all of the stuff that you know. You look at it and you're like, dude, that's smooth. I saw you on your Instagram stories. Look at that, smooth as butter, you know? And it's like, dude, like, I think you called it black gold, you know? But like, you know, people don't know that stuff, right? They don't know that. All they know is what you just said. That's all.
And listen, man, it's our job as their vendor partner is to be the educator. It is to teach them, you know, and we do walkthroughs on these projects, and the things that stand out to us don't always stand out to them, you know, and what we do is make a list of those things before we even go through the walkthrough. Here's what we found, but they'll walk right past it. And, you know, and, you know, I say that because in everybody's business, it's the same. You know, it is the level of service, the level of communication, the value that you can deliver to a client is what's going to convert more times than anything else, right? And it is about that experience. It's about them feeling more comfortable with you because you're providing them more information. You're actually trying to solve a problem. You're not trying to sell them a product. And when you get your sales, you know, approach and process down to that level where it is singularly focused on, you know, what is this person? If I'm trying to sell you, Ken, I'm going to find out what you do all day. What are the biggest problems that you have? Even if they're not paving related, maybe I can add some value or connect you with somebody that can solve that problem. Like example, we work with a lot of people who also deal with roofing issues. Yeah. I had one of our customers this year call me and say, "Man, who do you know in the roofing business? Because we need roofers, and you guys solve all of our problems on this side of the business. So, you know, I figured I'd just call you and ask you. You got to have some friends over there, and I know you're not going to send me somebody that, you know, isn't good." So we ask those questions, man. Is there anything else that we can solve for you? You know, while we're out here looking around, you know, if we're looking at gas stations, for example, we have nothing to do with the propane cages that sit outside of a gas station. But if we're going to go out there and look at their parking lot, we snap a picture of that thing, because a lot of times those things need checked. And if a facilities manager, if we could save them time of checking something off their list while we're already there, it's additional value, man. And it creates a true relationship that becomes almost, and sometimes becomes a real friendship, because the value you're exchanging, man, is far greater than what they're paying you for. And you know, I've always said in my career, I always wanted to be paid slightly less than what I felt I was worth, because you never have to look for work, right?
That's right.
If you're overpaid, then they might get rid of you, right? But if you're slightly below what they're paying you, if you're getting paid slightly below the value you're delivering, you're always going to be safe. And we function the same way as a business. It's like we always want to over deliver. We don't want to be, we don't want to be the guy that's exchanging $1 for $1. We want the customer to pay us $1 and we give them $2 worth of value, right?
I just did a video about this the other day, man. Brian Tracy said, I listened to Psychology of Success and the Psychology of Selling years and years and years ago, many times over. And he said that if you want to make more money, always do more than you're paid for. Always.
Yeah.
And that back then I was an employee. I had this employee mentality. So it was like, oh, okay, if I want to move into management, if I want to, then I just have to work harder than everybody else or do more than they pay me to do. Right. It's just like and I thought you were sending me one of the t-shirts, but we can talk about that offline.
It's still in my drawer right over there.
The cart. Put the cart back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have it right there? Do you have one?
Oh no, not that one. I have your 412 t-shirt still.
Oh, I got you. Oh, that's right. That's right. So, but and that's an example of who you are. And people don't get it, man. Everybody's looking for the easier, softer way. They're looking for the one night stand and not the long term. Like, how do we make this relationship work forever? Like, as well as I do, in any marriage, there are and dude, I have a hard time believing when somebody's like, my wife and I never fight or argue ever. We've never had an argument. We've been together 30 years and we've never argued or like. Yeah, I have such a hard time believing that. Like, what is one of you like mute? Like you can't, like how's that even
you're
real?
On the road all the time. You're never home or what?
Right. But
my man Mike's on here, man. He's from New Jersey. He's a top contractor school.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Right there.
Good to see you, man.
Killed it this year, man. Had an incredible year. So.
That's awesome. But so that's the thing, man, is everybody's looking for the easier, softer way. And you started this movement, or, I don't know if you made the t-shirt or somebody else did.
No, somebody else sells it. Brian Nabavi, it is, oh man, I can't even think of it.
Tell everybody about it. Put the freaking carts back.
Yes.
Carts back.
Dude, I always say, man, there's two kinds of people in the world. There's the people that put the cart back, and we're going to keep it PG here just in case the kids are listening. But then there's the pieces of, there's the people that don't care about whether
it's asphalt.
Yeah, whether you do the right thing or not. And it's ridiculous, man. It's just people. The way you do something is the way you do everything. And the t-shirt company, by the way, is called Till You Collapse. TillYouCollapse.com, and you can get your own.
And what's it say? It has a little grocery cart back.
It has a little shopping cart on it. Yeah.
Oh, put the carts back. Yeah.
Yeah. I did a podcast. I did a Facebook Live and a podcast called Put the Cart Back. And it's and I started believing this, Andy Frisella said, the value is built in the inefficiencies. And that is through, like I got these sitting on my desk, handwritten thank you cards, right? And they go out to everybody that signs a contract with us every single month. And I write them myself. It matters, man. And I started writing them to people that just give us an opportunity, right? Even the jobs we don't win, we appreciate the opportunity to be, to be part of, and we look forward to the next one. And it matters. That stuff matters. And in this day and age, I just Keith Calloway, what's happening? My main man, that dude and I are about to run 31.25 miles here in 3 weeks together. We're gonna go through some pain. Yeah, we're brothers now, but we're gonna be a lot closer brothers after you go through that kind of pain together.
Wow.
But, it's in this day and age.
You said 31?
Yeah, it's a 50K.
Dude, why not do an ultra marathon? Why not go?
That's what it is. It's an ultra marathon. Yeah.
Is it
considered an ultra? Yeah, it's a baby ultra, but it's an ultra.
It's way further than I would go right now.
I'll tell you, I've talked to some people that say that when you run 26.2, that there's the race to 20, and then there's the last 6.2.
Yeah.
And so if you add another 5 on there, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be comfortable.
That's gonna be a man.
Especially for a big old Clydesdale like me.
So I think back to when I had this happen years ago where I started losing clients like crazy, and I'm like, what is going on? And I'm telling you, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that, bro. I
ask him when it's his turn, man.
Has he not done it? No, come on, man. You got to do it. What are you doing?
It's time, bro.
I'll talk about that in a second. But when I found out that I was losing customers, I was like, what is going on? Why am I losing customers? And so I'm like, you know what? The reason I found out is there was another company that was new, a fairly new company. And dude, they were kicking my butt in service. They were killing me. They were killing everybody in my company that was working for me. They were delivering the very, very, very best in customer service, way better than me. I had to pick it up, dude. And so, it didn't mean it was over. It was an opportunity for me to go, wow, man, we've dropped the ball. Look at how they've innovated and stepped up their game, right? How do I take that?
I'm trying to be, man. I'm trying to be those guys, right?
Right.
See? And we just talked about it, that day one mentality, right? How do you keep that day one mentality, that freshness about, trying to constantly innovate and solve more problems? And again, companies, I see it all the time, man, where companies build up and they create success and they do a really great job. And then they get there and they just stop. They get, they stop doing the things that got them there, and they leave the door wide open, man, for the competition to come in and service their customers properly. And that is really what it's about, man. I say in these meetings, every single one of them, I say, like, we create process around these things, because without process, you have no promise of anything.
That's right.
And it is imperative to not just be able to have the conversation about what you're going to do, but be able to demonstrate that and then pass that and deliver on it. Right. And if you can't deliver on it, man, then you are a shady salesperson that's using manipulation to get a quick hit of revenue that's going to make that customer not trust people as much. They'll never do business with your company again, after they figure out that you're a fraud. And that's what happens so often, man, because there's not a lot of salespeople out there that take the time to sell them right, to really understand their problems, be able to solve it, and then B, take the time to create the process within their business that can support all that.
Well, and when I first started doing websites 25 years ago,
when you were like 10.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, but no, I was like 26. But when I started, I had no idea what I was doing. None, zero. But what I did have was I had this unbelievable desire. It's just like you in the paving business, dude. In anything, you don't know what you're doing in the beginning stages, but if you make it your life goal to not stop learning, man, you've got to learn how to become the very, 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 very best. If I was going to get into the paving business, first I would join your school, top contractor school. And then second, I would figure out everything that the top people in your industry are doing. And I'd go study them. As I'm working, right, I'd study them. How do I make this a better company? How do I make this a better product? How do I deliver better to my customers? How do I make sure that it's like Andy Frisella, right? I asked him in my interview, like, dude, I said, you have 1.5 million followers on Instagram. Like, they're all organic too, right? Like, how did you build this massive, massive following? And I said, dude, I'm serious. I think there's people and I said this in the interview. I said, I think there's people that have never even met you that would take a bullet for you. And he just laughed and he's like, dude, we over deliver. And they do. Every order I've ever, and you know this, every order you get from First Form has a handwritten note from whoever packed the box. I mean, it's insane what they do. They're taking customer service to a different level, and they've created an unbelievable amount of raving fans. They don't have to sell their stuff. Other people do it for them.
So they got people with First Form tattoos, man.
I know.
It's and it's funny, man. Being following Andy and learning a lot from their things, and everywhere that I've ever been, everywhere that I ever worked for before I had my own company, always had core values and vision, but they really didn't live by it all the time,
Right.
And when you said continue to learn, the third core value for Top Contractor School is be a lifetime student, and it's encourage others to be a lifetime student, right? Yep. And the second one is stay humble, and that's how if you're not humble, man, you will never be a lifetime student, because you'll start to believe your own BS and think that you got it all figured out. And yep. By the way, guys, you might have it all figured out today, but tomorrow everything changes. It changes constantly. And for those who don't stick on that self-development, don't read, don't take it all in. One of the things I shared with you, I actually posted it today, was the quote, I read, what is it? I read to unlearn the things that I thought I knew.
Yep.
And it's a powerful thing, man, to constantly be carving yourself into a new version, and all the while collecting all this data and going the extra mile, right? And I'm saying collect the data human to human, so that it processes in your brain what exactly is going on in the marketplace, and then you become an unstoppable force, man, that people can't keep up, because you are the Chinese bamboo tree, man.
That's
right. It might take a long time to get it moving, but when it does, brother, it's going to grow like wildfire.
It does, man.
That is really, what we committed to when we started our company, was like, hey man, it might be a tougher road, but we're gonna build this sucker right, man, and we're gonna focus on solving people's problems and creating the processes necessary to make that happen, and to make it happen consistently, where we can deliver on the things that we say. And doing what you say in our business is half the battle, man. If you can do that, you get a lot of business as a construction company, because there's a lot of companies out there that don't, and they don't last very long, and the other piece of advice I would give people is be as public as you can if you are doing it the right way, because you want people to see that, and the more public you are, the more trust you gain by people seeing you. You're not going to be a person that's out in front of people all the time and be doing stuff that's not right. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't align. And it's not something that people that are public, out there, whether it's on social media, on YouTube, whatever, people aren't going to do that, and it's just not something that people do. And, you will see who a person is by having, if they're out in front of people on social media. I don't come in like, what do you think? I'm going to come on here and tell you I'm going to do all these things and then show up to a meeting unprepared? Like, it's not how it works, man.
But there's a lot. I wonder why. I mean, you've got to wonder why there are. I mean, I've had the salespeople work for me. You've had people that you're like, why are you just trying to make a quick buck here and not, like, again, you said it a little bit ago. You said something about if you're just trying to, get in, you're just and get out, you're just a slimy salesperson or whatever. But like, there are people that are doing that because they need to pay their bills, but they don't realize that they could freaking, like, they could actually learn what they're doing, like get skilled up, right? It's not, I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but like there's got to be a certain best way to mix asphalt. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but like, you got to have the right.
I appreciate the effort.
Yeah, you got to have the right steamroller thingy majig and all that. But like, again, I don't know all that, but if I were going to get in the business, or I was going to go sell it, just like network marketing people, right? I coach a lot of people in the network marketing world, but like, like, learn your product, learn what it does, every single last aspect of it. Well, we have 400 products. Well, I suggest you get off this phone call right now and get to learning then. Like, you got to learn your product. You got to know what you're doing, because if you don't know what you're doing, people will see through it.
Yeah, you'll just be like everybody else. And one of the things that I teach, like, consistently, man, I say, like, differentiation is not just a buzzword, right? It is true differentiation. And one of the things that I teach contractors is the most dangerous thing that you can seem to be like as a contractor is like another contractor, right? Because people have not a positive connotation of contractors because they probably had a bad experience at some point, in their life, or somebody in their family has had a bad experience with a contractor. And
right.
So, our real differentiation is attempting to seem completely different from every other contractor that they've ever encountered. And our process and the way that we approach things and the research that we've already discussed here that we do on our clients, and again, we don't even do business with every client that wants to do business with us. Like, they, and it's not like we say no to people all the time, but like, they've got to match what we are trying to accomplish too. And that
Right.
is the long game, right? It's playing that game where, 10 years down the road, we're going to have a much easier path than most that are in business today will have 10 years from now, because we're taking the time to, focus on those inefficiencies, on writing letters, reaching out to people via the phone. I called a subcontractor today that did some work for us, and I said, hey man, I just wanted to first and foremost say thank you for everything that you did for us. It was a fantastic job, unbelievable, and everybody enjoyed working with you guys. And and secondly, I wanted to get your address because we don't have it, and I wanted to send you something. And he said, man, I didn't think I would be hearing from you. I appreciate the call, but I didn't expect to hear from you. And I said, man, we truly appreciate it, and it's taken the time to do that, and not send an email and not send a text message, and not, it's just go the extra mile. The shortcut, guys, is taking the long way. And that's the truth. It puts jet fuel in the tank, and it gets you where you're trying to go faster. And by the way, at the same time, you're just going to feel a lot better. You're going to feel a lot better about yourself. You're going to feel a lot better about how you treat people and what you do. And then, the word of mouth will take care of itself, and it will grow. And it's not, listen, the increase in sales doesn't always go like this.
No.
But if you look at a stock
like
price,
this, and then like this.
But if you look at the Dow over a period of 30 years, there might be some dips in there, but for the most part,
it's crazy.
It's on an upward tick, man. And that is what it's all about. It's about, lasting the test of time, learning those lessons, having your head about you enough to, when you're going through some of this stuff that we get thrown at us. I mean, we get punched in the face fairly frequently, and it's, it's about learning how to take those punches gracefully and learn your lessons from it and keep moving, man. And never get too down on yourself or too high on yourself, right? It's just, it's one foot in front of the other. Create your process and execute, and then refine the process over and over and over. It's that simple. And when you figure it out, what that looks like and what the process, needs to be, and then, man, I literally, man, I feel like I feel like it's an incredible opportunity for us to get the chance to meet with any customer because of the value we can bring. And when you can walk into a meeting with that type of, just calm confidence about you,
Yeah.
because we know it works, and we know that we're going to take the time to do it right. And we know that if we don't do it right, we're going to take the time to own it.
Right.
And we're going to make it right no matter what it takes. We will never walk away from a problem. And so I feel like a crusader, man, running out there trying to save people from doing business with other people, because I know I can save them.
Yep. Dude, I love that. Grant Cardone's watching. I just saw he liked the video. What's up, GC? I got your shirt on, bro.
Look at that.
So I think, again, if and this blows me away, man. Like, if I were a paving contractor, now I know that you told me there's a difference between, you guys don't do residential, right? You're primarily commercial.
There's a lot of guys that do that are in our network. Like
right.
Keith Galloway's on here. He still does some residential driveway paving and stuff.
Now, are they knocking doors? Are they going up and knocking on doors, or?
No, it's mostly on the internet now, right? It's just website. The residential websites, like I'm just throwing them out there, like Thumbtack, probably List, stuff like that.
But I mean, what about the guys that, like, you're at somebody's house, you just paved a driveway, or they don't have salespeople out hitting the other houses around?
Oh, they do, yeah, for sure. When Keith and those guys sell a driveway, and Keith's one of my clients in Top Contractor School. If you guys check that company out, anybody that's on the West Coast, Portland, Oregon, it's K&L Industries out of Portland, and that they're just an unbelievable family. But yeah, they've got salespeople that do, because when you're on the street, man, there's a lot of other people that,
right.
And you could give people a little bit better deal, right? It costs a lot to get that equipment and the people there and stuff like that. So it makes more sense. Yeah, of course. And they do it all the time, right? When they go on appointments to measure and meet with a residential client, they, of course, they call it the triangle, right? On both sides of the house and the one across the street. And
it blows me away. Grant just commented, he said, bang them doors.
Right.
I agree. But it blows me away. Like, the neighborhood I live in, it's all these doctors around me and all these, business owners and professionals. Dude, I've never had it. I had one person, a bug guy, a pest control guy, knock on I've never had anyone else knock on the door.
That's because me and Uncle G don't live on the street, man. If I lived there, you'd be getting your ass knocked on every night. Like,
dude, I know, but like, it blows me away. It's like, we needed a new vacuum not too long ago. And I'm like, I wish one of those vacuum cleaner salesmen would knock on the door about right now.
I'll be giving you the 10X doorbell ring 10 times, man, until you come to the door.
But like, that's what I'm talking about, man, is if once you get to a place where, like you were talking about, the stuff that you're doing in your company that takes your I don't know why the comments are showing up on my phone, but not on the screen now.
Yeah, I see that. I do want to say this, if Grant is still watching.
He said I'd be in your refrigerator every night.
I watched his video tonight, man, with his interview with Lewis Howes and talking about his mother. And if anybody hasn't watched that video yet, man, you need to go watch that, because it's just powerful, man. And and hats off to you, Grant. I think that was an unbelievable thing to share and to talk about. And I think it gives all of us perspective. And he shares so much about, everything in his life, but, things like that matter. And I appreciate you, man, for sharing that.
Yeah, that was incredible. But yeah, and Patricia Lynn Burgess, for some reason, my comments stopped appearing on the screen over here. So, but she just said nobody knocks on doors anymore. And dude, I think that it's insane that people leave. Like, I cannot believe that people, and I know this about Grant. He won't go on a trip for a sales call unless he's got multiple calls in that town. Like he just won't do it. And you know, or he's going with the intent that like, hey, we're going to go up here, but while we're here, we're going to go call on these 12 companies too, or these people, and make this happen. And that's where people are not preparing. And that's what you're doing. That's Brian. And to anybody that just jumped on, Brian and I were on a phone call, and he's going after this big multi-million-dollar company. Brian already has a multi-million-dollar company, but he's going after actually it's a multi-billion-dollar company he's going after for a big contract. And he's telling me all these things that he's doing to prepare. I mean, he's reading their financial statements. He's reading their you know, watching the history of their stock prices and all of these things. And he's got this whole freaking prospectus, like prepared to go in there, and a video and drone footage of their stores and parking lots. And like, it's insane. And like right now it's just we'll see what happens when we get to the meeting. There's no guarantee, but people don't do that. That's what I'm talking about.
Ask Uncle G if he thinks I'll close that deal. I promise you, brother, that I ain't walking out of there with nothing.
Well, but that again,
promise. And I already know that because I've created and manifested the confidence that it takes to do that. And by the way, that's not some gimmick or some, you know, hey, I'm going to sit here and like, you know, meditate my way to confidence. It's called working your way to confidence, right? And you got to put in the work, man. And everything, here's what I would tell people that are watching that are in sales or thinking about, you know, doing this kinds of thing, is the information is everywhere today.
Yep.
And all you have to do is put in the work to get it. And when you put in the work, the results follow, man. I got a frame over there that says, it is impossible to wake up every day and do all the right things and get the wrong result. Just doesn't work, man. It's not how it works. And if you put in the work every single day, if you tell me, man, I'm putting in the work every single day, but I just can't get the results, then something's wrong, man, because it's not how it works. You're either not putting in the right type of work, or you're lying and you're not putting in work.
I agree, dude. Man, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah, I'm wrapping on here for an hour.
I know, it's crazy, and I got to bounce. And I know you
like 15 minutes. Yeah, man, I got some more research to do.
Yeah. So, dude, thank you for coming on, and thank you for also, Brian's a member of the WOW Formula, my private group where I do training on how to use technology and a lot of other things in there. And in fact, I trained on something a little bit ago, and Brian's like, what? It was an Instagram stories thing that I was training on how to do a certain trick in Instagram, several things in Instagram stories.
I felt like a big dummy, man. I've been posting stories like nonstop every single day. And I told Ken, it probably takes me an extra couple of minutes per story sometimes when I try to get the stuff that he did in like 2 seconds. So for those of you guys, seriously, I got a couple contractors on here that are clients of mine. And for those of you who want to learn more about social media and just the things, the tools, to be honest with you, most of the stuff that I teach to people, or at least a lot of the stuff that I teach to people, social media from the technical side of things, comes from Ken. So if you guys are interested in learning that stuff firsthand, go jump to the wowformula.com. What is it, $25 a month, something like that?
It's $25 a month, dude.
I'll make you guys a deal. It's like $250 a year, right? Something like that.
Yep.
If you guys don't get $250 worth of value in the first month, I'll pay the bill.
Daggone, look at that,
dude.
Two of the videos I did in there, and I think this blew you away. I did SEO training for YouTube videos.
Yeah, I keep trying to get Ken to like hook up my YouTube channel, just go through there, you know, at no cost and make them all top ranked, but he's not taking the bait.
Hey, you and a lot of other people have tried that, man. But I mean, I can rank a video pretty fast to the top of YouTube. Depends on what the target keywords are. But I do a complete training in there, 2 different videos showing how to do it. And then live, I show the live results because I got it ranked to the top. So like, you know, there's a lot of valuable stuff. I teach a lot of the different tools and apps and different things to use. And like, you know, I showed that Instagram trick tonight, and you were like, you got to be kidding me.
And I was like, literally, I'm like, you got to be kidding, man. I'm like, my mind is blown. I try to put our company logo on stories, and one of the things that Ken showed was how to do that. And I had no idea, man. He's like, all you got to do is say, I'm like, dude, I've had my logo saved in a photo file for like 2 years. I've been importing them into a different app and then creating it in there and then going and putting it's just a nightmare. So I'm embarrassed to tell you guys, but yeah, it's, and I guarantee you that 90% of the people on this stream right now don't have any idea either.
So dude, it's you know, look, man, that's been my entire career. It's like, how do I love technology. I had my first computer at 11 years old. I was programming freaking basic computer language spent 3 days writing code to get a little ball to blip around on the screen. And you know, I've always just, I know I don't look like a 20-year-old geek, but I mean, I've got this, I just love being ahead of technology. I like trying to figure out how to do things technologically that are quick and simple to do. I don't like complicating stuff. I hate complicating stuff. In fact, you know, I'm also good at using Adobe's products, the, you know, video editing stuff. And man, it's just too complicated for me sometimes. I need something easier and simpler. And I have those, you know, but it takes a lot of research and playing around with it to figure it out. And so those are some of the things that I really like. Patricia Lynn Burgess just said it's true. She's in there. Glenn Caldwell's in there. I mean, we have a lot of great people in there. Brian, I think you were the second person to sign up.
Man, I was buying a pair of shoes, and I think,
yeah, that's right.
Who beat me?
That's
Frank
right.
Was it Frank that swiped his credit card first?
Frank, yeah, you guys were trying
to
beat each other.
I was trying on some new Nikes, man, and Frank beat me to the punch, dude. I had my phone sitting on the bench in the Foot Locker.
Yeah.
And, by the time I was too slow on the draw, Frank got me. So,
dude, that's number 2. Frank Crinitti, #1 car salesman in the world, and he was the very first member of the WOW formula. You were number 2. Actually, did I add you first? Because you were like, I'm doing it, dude. Add me. Or so, I don't remember. Frank was the first one to pay, though. I do know that.
I'm hoping Frank like cancels his credit card or something, so he gets kicked out, and I'll be the longest acting serving member.
There you go. You rock, bro. Dude, this has been a great live. You delivered a lot of valuable information, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope people enjoyed it, man. And pretty cool to see old Uncle G on here, man. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I can't believe Grant was on here. Good.
I got the whole library of books over on the shelf right behind me here.
It's unbelievable. Thanks for popping on. Thank you to everybody else also jumped on here. And if you're not following Brian, man, follow Brian Hess. Brian has Top Contractor School, where if you're a contractor, really of any kind, you teach people how to scale their contracting businesses, man, and get a big mansion like what you live in.
Yeah, Ken's been here. It's not a mansion, but we're working on it. I got some mansions up on the vision board over there, though.
Dude, it's freaking nice, man. It's a nice double wide.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
It's nice, dude. It's a nice house. So anyway, listen, you guys, I appreciate all of you. Thank you all for jumping in. Brian, thank you for the unbelievable content. And
brother.
Yeah. So everybody follow Brian Hess. See you guys later. Thanks a lot.